Welcome to Infinity Cast, the podcast that explores the bleeding edge of science and technology. I'm your host, Elion Quanta. Today, we're stepping into a world that sounds like science fiction, but is rapidly becoming science fact. We're talking about synthetic biology, the art and science of designing life itself. And to help us unpack this incredible field, I'm joined by my brilliant co-host, Indra Solis. Welcome, Indra.
Thanks for having me, Elion. It's a topic that truly stretches the imagination. When people hear synthetic biology, they might picture something from a Frankenstein movie, but the reality is far more elegant. Think of it less like reanimating a creature and more like being a biological programmer. If DNA is the code of life, synthetic biologists are learning to write entirely new programs from scratch.
A biological programmer. I like that. So what sets this apart from, say, traditional genetic modification? We've been modifying organisms for decades. Is this just a more advanced version, or is it a fundamentally different approach?
That's the key question. It's a fundamental shift. Genetic engineering is like taking a book and editing a few sentences or swapping a chapter. You're working with an existing text. Synthetic biology, on the other hand, aims to build the book from the ground up. Scientists are designing and synthesizing DNA sequences that have never existed in nature to create standardized, interchangeable parts. They call them BioBricks. It's like you have a biological Lego set.
BioBricks. That makes it sound so modular and intentional. So with this biological Lego set, what are we building? Let's start with medicine. What are some of the groundbreaking applications we're seeing?
In medicine, the potential is staggering. We're seeing the development of living medicines. For example, scientists are engineering bacteria that can live in the gut and are programmed to detect the chemical signs of cancer. Once detected, they can produce a colored molecule that shows up in the person's urine. It's an early warning system built from living cells.
A diagnostic tool that lives inside you. That's incredible. It's proactive rather than reactive. It moves beyond just creating drugs to creating tiny biological doctors.
Exactly, and it extends to treatment too. Think of engineering immune cells, like in CAR T therapy, to become more effective at hunting and destroying cancer, or designing yeast to produce complex pharmaceuticals like artemisinin for malaria, making it cheaper and more accessible. We're programming cells to become microscopic factories and physicians.
That's a powerful concept. But what about outside the human body? I know there's a lot of excitement about using synthetic biology to tackle global challenges like climate change and resource scarcity. How does designing an organism help with energy?
Right. This is where it gets really interesting for sustainability. The classic example is biofuels. We can take organisms like algae or yeast and rewire their metabolism to make them incredibly efficient at converting sunlight or sugar into fuels like ethanol or biodiesel. We're essentially programming them to brew fuel instead of beer.
So we can bypass the geological timescales needed for fossil fuels and just grow them. What about materials?
Absolutely. Imagine bacteria that can produce the proteins found in spider silk, one of the strongest materials known to man, on an industrial scale. Or microbes that can secrete a bioplastic that is fully biodegradable. We can design life to build our world more sustainably from the molecule up.
It really does feel like we're at the dawn of a new industrial revolution, but a biological one this time. We're moving from exploiting nature to collaborating with it by speaking its language, the language of DNA. Of course, designing life itself brings up a whole host of profound ethical questions, but that might be a topic for another episode.
It certainly does. The power to design life is a responsibility we have to approach with immense care and foresight. But the promise it holds for our health, our planet, and our future is undeniable. We are truly on a new frontier.
A new frontier indeed. That's all the time we have for today. A huge thank you to Indra Solis for shedding light on this remarkable field. Join us next time on InfinityCast as we continue to explore the ideas and technologies shaping our tomorrow. Thanks for listening.